Welcome to today's podcast, the Business Scale Up Programme podcast with me, Adrian O'Neill.
And myself, Hannah Tuckey. We're both business engagement advisors with the Business Scale Up Programme.
What we'll talk about today then, there's a couple of things that we could quickly cover for folk who have never heard of us before. And one is, if I ask you then, how about if I ask you if you were a business person in the old days, because you did have a business back in the old days.
I did, yeah, back in the old days.
You were a business person for quite some time before you started doing this gig. And did you have time as a business person to try and source some funding, and B, kind of faff around doing all the forms and stuff? Would you have had time to do that?
No, and I was actually approached on multiple occasions.
To try and find some funding?
Try and do that. Well, not just to try and find it, but it was a case of people approaching us and saying, oh, we've got this funding, we've got these grants, you can do these programs and these trainings, but nothing really where they sat down and specifically said, this is for you, this is what you need to do, sign here.
Did that stop you doing it then?
Yes.
Was the kind of the faff, I should call it a faff.
Yeah, it was, yeah. And I actually had this conversation over the weekend around the fact that it is a big blocker it was for me anyway, to actually signing up to any of the programs and the trainings and getting access to the grants and funding, because you don't have time to think about it.
So it's time's a big one, isn't it, for anyone who runs a business, large or small? Time is always a massive factor. Yeah. So it's time to take out your day, try and find something that you want. So that's the first thing. And secondly, finding the thing you want and then try and find the funding for it and then doing all the forms and stuff.
And knowing whether you're eligible.
Yeah.
And knowing the right person to speak to.
So they're pretty big blockers, aren't they?
Yeah.
So what's different about what we do then? How is that different to that?
That's what I like about this one, because this programme was created the exact time I had those struggles.
Oh, really?
So it's kind of a little bit too late for me. A little bit too late for me. But that's where it's easy, because they have one phone call with us.
Yeah.
It takes
or a visit.
Yeah, or a visit. We can do face-to-face, always up for a brew.
Always up for a brew.
Yeah, so that takes 40 minutes, an hour.
Depends how chatty people are.
Depends how chatty people are, and if they know what they want, I guess.
Yeah. So what about the forms then? So would they, if I was new coming to you and let's just say we'd cross paths at some conference or something, and you say, let's have a chat. I mean, I've still got the forms to fill in.
I don't have time to fill a form in.
I can't be doing with that.
I don't want to fill a form.
Who wants to do that? You've got time for that.
Yeah, that's why we do it.
So all the forms done for them?
All the forms are done. It's basically a one-to-one, it's kind of like a one-to-one coaching consultant session, isn't it, really, in its own right? So you sit down, have a one-to-one conversation, you just soundboard everything, say what your struggles are, say what your stresses are, say what you'd really like to do.
Yeah. We
in turn then write all that down, send the form back, have a little read through it, make sure you agree with it, and just pop your name on. So
at the end of all that then, all they have to do is talk. Briefly, albeit relatively briefly, and then sign something. There's no form filling at all, is
there? They don't even need to print and scan, do they?
No, they don't need to print and scan. We're so modern. We're so with it. But yeah, so that's it. So just sign something and that's it. That's it, they're done.
Type the name in a box, pop the date on, and send an email back. And they are then, bearing in mind they've passed all the eligibility criteria. So York, North Yorkshire or East Riding premises.
Yeah.
Registered address. Classified as an SME.
I would say that's really easy to access.
Me too.
Slightly biased, but I'd still say it's pretty easy to access.
Yeah, but you don't need to be. It is. Just is.
Thanks ever so much for listening, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this albeit brief conversation with us. If you want to find out more, then please, by all means, a quick Google will find us. You can find us both on LinkedIn, or you can go to our website, which is businessscaleup.co.uk.